tell you something about Andrew. This is my boy right here. You disrespect him, you're disrespecting me.
Inside fighting. Shout out to Inside Fighting.
We're back. It's the Fight Season Podcast. It's me, Jesse Rowe, with Inside Fighting, joined as always by our head writer, Timothy James, aka Timmy Shoes MMA on X, not Twitter. What's up, Tim? How you doing?
Been a while since I've been on X. You'd have to go back to the clubbing days, but I'm doing well, Jesse. Yeah. How are you?
Good. I never was an X guy. I think it became by the time it became more. I was starting to experiment. I think it was at Coachella. It was all about Molly. That's what everybody was talking about. Was Molly. X was a little bit before my time, but
it's a little bit old school.
Yeah, it is. That's a weird way to start this podcast, but that's what we do over here at Inside Fighting.
I can't hear it. Everyone says, "Oh, I'm on X now," and I'm like,
I know.
Is that what they were going for? Who knows?
Well, no, it's all because Elon has this weird obsession with the letter X. His kid with Grimes, the singer Grimes, the name is like XAEIX or some weird name. So he's always had an obsession with like Tesla Model X. He's always had an obsession with the letter X, whatever reason. So
yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, whatever.
Kind of weird doesn't even begin to describe the UFC 293 press conference, which is really why we're what we're going to be talking about today. Sean Strickland is really the star of all of this, and I actually think this might be one of the better pay-per-views. It's possible it's not. This might be the all-time illegal stream record for a UFC fight. It's possible, but I genuinely think a ton of eyeballs are on this fight, and I wonder if there are more on this fight than the Dricus Duplessis fight would have been, simply because Sean Strickland is so crazy, so animated, knows how to work the meme machine, so to speak, of the internet. He capitalized on this story that broke about Israel Adesanya's I don't want to call it a fetish or an upset. Just that he's followed some dog accounts and posted videos of himself touching his dog inappropriately. I do think a lot of it is in jest. I do think it's a weird sense of humor that he has that I wouldn't do. I don't think he's actually molesting dogs. I don't. But he clearly has a weird thing going on because he called one of his ex-girlfriends puppy, or an ex-lover puppy or something like that.
I don't know who it was he was referring to, but that was in an interview with Charlemagne the God.
Yeah.
Charlemagne asked him about if he has sex before fights. And Izzy said that whole thing about not having sex before fights is a myth. I was setting records before my last fight. Shout out to Puppy. That's what he said. And it's kind of funny because Charlemagne and the co-host were like, what kind of code name is that?
So he also followed like a bunch of accounts. It was from MMA Guru, by the way. He's the one that he's done a bunch of videos. They're like hit pieces, to be honest. I think that he's clearly has a voice in the MMA community, but they felt like hit pieces. It feels a little bit like he's just not letting certain things go. He really hates Israel Adesanya. I mean, so that's where this is all coming from.
I think MMA Guru is very good at riling up a certain sect of the MMA fan base. And I don't even know if he actually hates Adesanya. I think he saw this and was like, I'm going to get my clicks. And he certainly got them.
So that's where that was all stemming from. And Izzy's leaning into it too, because it's a little uncomfortable, but he also posted a photo of John Wick with his dog. You know, famously John Wick's dog gets killed in the first movie.
Yeah.
And that's the whole revenge story is over his dog. And so he is leaning into it a little bit. I don't really have a take on it other than if you thought Sean Strickland wasn't going to use that for ammunition at the press conference, you're crazy. And I think Sean Strickland absolutely 10-7'd Israel Adesanya when he brought it up.
Come on, Izzy, give me something, bro. What the fuck?
When you argue with a fool, those who are watching can't tell who's who.
Oh, there we go. Hey, you know what? You know what, man? The moment I post a video of me jerking off my fucking dog, they will put some credibility to that. Fucking puppy porn, man. I had to double check that shit just to make sure it was legit. And it was legit. I followed Izzy for like a quick second just to double check. Motherfucker's real.
Izzy had no response. He had a response to everything else. The one thing Izzy did not have a response for, he was not prepared for, was the dog stuff. And I have to admit, it was very, very funny, but also very cringe. And I think that's exactly what Strickland was going for.
Yeah, of all of the people to give that ammunition to, Sean Strickland was probably the worst.
Although I have seen
really
Drekus is liking a lot of the MMA Guru's posts, by the way, on Instagram.
Is he?
He's
Is he?
liking a lot of them and resharing them, posting them in his stories. So,
Yeah, I think the Drickus fight would have been bigger, but the thing that really stood out to me in this press conference was how much the crowd was cheering on Strickland.
it's like a home field for Strickland in Australia.
He was wearing like the Crocodile Dundee hat, and they were actually cheering him on. I don't know if that's
Izzy gave him credit for that in the face-off. He was like, "I actually really fucking like your hat." I don't know if you saw that video. He was like giving him credit for it. So, I think they like each other. I think Izzy actually likes Strickland, to be honest. I think he does.
I think they two guys who are kind of weird, have a very weird sense of humor, and I don't know. They were made to have a really weird press conference, and they succeeded in that.
Well, Izzy's best moment of this press conference was calling, because Strickland was saying how Izzy is a Chinese slut who sold his soul to China and stuff. And Izzy bounced back. He was like, "What about you selling your soul to Monster Energy?"
Last time I did a cool dance, then I knocked him out. This time I'm gonna knock him out and do another cool dance.
And he's gonna hold up a Chinese flag and swear allegiance to the CCP, man. Fucking grow a pair of fucking nuts and grow a fucking spine. You don't even
He's
represent
talking
your
about
country
being
when
a
you fight.
sellout. When did you sign a Monster Energy? When did you sell your soul? Tell me.
Hey,
You
know,
signed your soul recently,
bro,
right? You did.
I ride motorcycles.
Isn't it funny
like
that
to have a
anytime
good
I have
time.
to fight someone, Monster signs them immediately and becomes a fan of them? You know why? Because I didn't sell out and I didn't sell my soul. What'd you have to do to that pig-headed fuck? Huh? What'd you have to do to sell your soul to get that deal?
And being that Monster Energy is, there it is. Look at that. Oh, so you're a shill. You're a corporate shill. You've sold your soul to this to Satan. Izzy famously, now it's become a meme after he knocks out Alex Pereira at UFC
270.
287 in Miami.
Yeah.
Knocks out Pereira, goes down to the Monster Energy logo in the center of the ring, and does a Christian cross over it, because Monster, there is a meme online that it represents Satan, obviously, that it's a sign of the mark of the beast, if you will. But
It is?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
the three lines, it's like supposed to be 666. Yeah, there's like a video of a like a really hyper Christian Karen online of her, like she has a whole bulletin board of how Monster Energy is selling satanic imagery to children. You should look it up. It's actually kind of hilarious, but it's like, there are some weird things in there where you're like, okay, maybe they're doing this ironically, but
is it like one of those Balenciaga sort of things?
Yeah, it's like hidden messaging, kind of, is what they're assuming. And
are you telling me I'm gonna have to switch to Red Bull? Or stop going to church?
I have a Red Bull around here somewhere. I think just stop drinking them altogether. But I think that was Izzy's best moment of the press conference. And if it's not any question enough that this is the ultimate, like, we're gonna look back on this card as like one of the craziest of all time. Like that was a moment in UFC time that probably will never happen again. Just all of the moving parts that sort of came together. It's not a great card. It's kind of a weak main card of it. You know, it's like it's a city kickboxing event at the end of the day, and
yeah,
there's not a lot of great matchups on it.
They definitely set up the Australians and the New Zealanders, the Oceanic crowd, to do very well.
But Izzy has
looking at these fights, and city kickboxing should have a very good night. So I think they set it up for the crowd. The Kai Kara France pull out kind of hurt the card. But these are always the cards when people say, it's not going to be that good. You know.
Yeah, no, it'll probably end in a lot of knockouts or something. It'll be fun. The Aussies show up. It'll rival that French crowd. They're very rowdy. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm
You know what I
worried.
was thinking?
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if isn't there a little bit of a rivalry between the Kiwis and the Aussies? Maybe that's sort of why the Australian crowd was getting more behind Strickland.
There
Or am I reading
is.
too much into it?
There is, but I think if Dricus was fighting on this card, it would be much more pro Izzy. I just think Sean kind of like has sold himself very strongly as a man of the people, where Izzy does feel a little bit less accessible. He's such a superstar. There's a documentary being released about him. He is so famous. Strickland is much more relatable to most people. And I just think he's so crazy that everybody just kind of gravitates toward, oh, there's the fucking, there's the clown on stage. Like, let's all laugh at it.
Yeah.
I don't think people take him super seriously, where I think Izzy takes himself very seriously, which is why I think it was smart for Izzy to lean into the China stuff. He's wearing red shorts to the fight, to basically, he called himself the Blue Beast, and now he's Red Mist at this fight. He's using like the anime, the Chinese, martial arts lore, all that stuff. He's using it, and now he's using the dog thing. I think it's very smart against a guy like Strickland. And we can talk about it on parlay, but I do think Strickland's getting knocked the fuck out at some point in this fight. But be that as it may, a wild press conference, and one I'll always remember. I mean, I wish it wasn't at 2 a.m. when it was over my time, but it was still, I was 1:30 in the morning laughing my ass off. Super entertaining.
Let me tell you something about Andrew. This is my boy right here. You disrespect him, you're disrespecting me.
Inside fighting, shout out to Inside Fighting.